Hello and welcome to the VickyCharles.com podcast for those of us who need just a little help with our blogging and social media. The show notes for this and all previous podcasts can be found at VickyCharles.com/podcast. And at the moment I'm giving out free social media tips. Just go to VickyCharles.com/social-tips and fill in your details, and then I'll email you 3 personalised action points for your social media. You can also sign up there for my mailing list. This week's episode number 65 is 6 steps to your first Facebook Live video. So welcome to episode number 65 of the VickyCharles.com podcast. This week's podcast is 6 steps to your first Facebook Live video. Now, I'm always banging on about live video. People kind of roll their eyes. I'm always kind of met with this horror kind of face of, you don't actually expect me to do live video, do you? Yes, I do. Things are moving on. There's no escaping it. Live video is what Facebook wants us to be doing, and we don't really get much choice in that. If we want to get any traction, we need to be doing live videos. But also, I think live video is amazing. It's a brilliant medium. It's a great way of really connecting with the people who like your page and with the wider audience, because there's nowhere to hide, and people know there's nowhere to hide. It's scary for us to start off with. But, you know, it gets you more of a connection than even doing pre-recorded video. I think it's fantastic. I think we should all be doing it. But I know that the first one is a bit like, so I thought I'd just give you a few tips to get you going. So it's always worth reminding to start off with. The first one is the hardest. So maybe pick a time when not many of your fans are online, or, you know, a quiet time of the day, when you can kind of see that the people who you associate with are not really online. And you can always delete it afterwards if you want to. If you think it was absolutely diabolical, just stop the broadcast and you can delete it straight away, and then nobody's ever going to see it. It doesn't matter. Now, you can post in a group on your personal profile or on your page. I always post mine on my page. I always go live on my page because my page is where I want to reach the most people. I don't really use my personal profile, and although I run some groups, I don't really use them, you know, for that sort of thing to my advantage. I am doing a live video in a group next weekend for some training, which I think is a brilliant way of doing it, rather than doing kind of a webinar or anything. If you've got a group and everybody in that group is entitled to be watching this training, whatever, then why not just put it straight in there and everybody can do it, rather than having to faff about with going to a different website to do it. So first of all, the nuts and bolts of how you actually do a live video. You have to do it on your mobile. You can't do it on your computer. But if you were going to post as normal on your page or in your group or your personal profile, wherever you're going to do it, go to post, and then instead of writing in any text or anything, click at the bottom where you would normally click to add a photo, I think, or to check in and things like that. And it brings you up a little. It's just recently changed this, so it might not do it on yours yet, but it should give you then a little drop down of all the different options. And one of those is a little red Facebook body with 2 little red lines around the head, and that is the go live symbol. I think it even says go live next to it now. So you click on that. You enter your title for your video. Now, I would say enter your title. Try and make it a short and to the point title that tells people what they can expect. So I think that one of them I did was how not to be depressed, or I did one that was about drop a dress size, the results. So really kind of clear what people can expect by clicking from your link, because otherwise they're probably not going to bother to click on the sound. And then you just click go live. When you click go live, your screen will split in half. The top part of the screen will show video of you, and the bottom half will immediately, at first it will go black, and it will go 3, 2, 1, and then you're live. And then the bottom half of the screen is where your comments will show. So different from Periscope. On Periscope, if anyone comments, it kind of goes up the screen and it can sort of cover your face, which can be a bit annoying, and it's kind of distracting, I find, as well. So I think that's a better setup, but that's how it will go when you first go live. I would say maybe a good option is to change your settings for a post on your personal account. If you're really not sure and really feeling nervous, change your settings on your personal account to friends only, and then do a video there, so that only kind of people who love you and probably wouldn't take the mickey out of you will see it. And if you don't like it, you can still delete it straight away, but it gives you practice at doing it, because I think that first one, you just need to get over that hurdle really of doing that first one, and then it does get easier and you just get sort of used to it, which I know you're kind of you're looking at your phone now, listening to me saying this and just thinking, how am I ever going to get used to this? But you do. I've got used to doing podcasts, you just get used to doing it. Such is life. So the first step for your Facebook Live video, you've hit go live and it's said 3, 2, 1 and you're live. What do you need to do? You need to introduce yourself. And don't just say, I am terrible for not taking my own advice on this. Whenever I do a video, I always just go, oh, hi, it's Vicky, or hi, guys. That's really rubbish. If you want to reach a wider audience, do not follow my example, because I'm really trying really hard to be more professional in my videos. So what you need to do is say, hi, my name is Vicky, or whatever your name is, and I am, and I do, something that says who you are and what you do. So with my podcast, if you listen to all of my podcasts, at the beginning I say, this is the VickyCharles.com podcast for people who need a little bit of help with their blogging and social media, so that anybody who listens to the first minute of my podcast knows exactly what to expect. Same with the video. My name is Vicky and I do this. So now I do live videos on my personal blog page and on my business page, and for those I should use a different introduction for each one. So for my blog page, for my business page, I might say, hi, my name is Vicky and I help people with blogging and social media. With my blog page, I might say something like, hi, my name is Vicky and I am a single parent blogger, or I'm a top 100 blogger. I might say, one great example, if you watch anything that Chalene Johnson does, every time she does something, the first thing she says is, hi, I'm Chalene Johnson, I am a New York Times best-selling author, because that gives her kind of weight behind what she's doing. It immediately kind of makes you sit up and go, oh, New York Times bestseller, okay, clearly she knows what she's talking about. So I then might start my video, begin my videos with things like, as seen in national newspapers, as heard on the radio, as seen on This Morning. It feels like showing off, and it kind of is, but you're also saying to people, see, people take me seriously. I've been on telly, I've been on the radio, therefore you should watch this video, kind of thing. That's basically what you're doing. It's kind of like an elevator pitch for your page or for whatever it is you're representing. So for me, I represent 2 different things. I would do 2 different introductions depending on where I was. And basically you're showing people, this is why you should listen to me, because I am a best-selling author, because I have been on telly, because I am on the radio, because I am fill in the blank, whatever it is that you do that means that people should listen to you. Your second step for your first Facebook Live video is tell people what you're going to be talking about today. So don't just launch into your content launch into, I'm going to give you 5 steps for Facebook Live video, and the first step is, for one thing, that sounds kind of clinical, and like that is a kind of a sure sign that someone is nervous and not sure what they're doing and not doing a good job. Tell people to start off with, this is what I'm going to tell you. Like when you're at school and you're writing essays and they tell you, okay, your essay format is, this is what I'm going to tell you, then I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you what I told you. That's the same for most things. So start off by telling people, well, this is what I'm going to tell you. That also means that you get straight to the point. People can decide there and then whether they want to continue watching, whether it's something that's relevant to them. If you start waffling on about, I know I've seen loads of Periscope videos, and Periscope's an entire different kettle of fish, but I've seen so many Periscope videos where they're just kind of like, hi everybody, yeah, so it's sunny today, isn't it? So what are we all doing at the weekend? Da, 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 da. And it's like 3 minutes in before they go, anyway, today I'm going to talk about, and by that point they've lost me. So bear in mind, we've got really short attention spans these days, and it's very tempting to scroll back up through our newsfeed and find something shorter to watch, a picture of a kitten falling in some snow or something. So you need to grab people's attention, get straight to the point, and tell them exactly why they need to follow you, why they need to watch you, and what's going on. I would also say here, don't kind of think, oh, I want to do a video about this, but I also want to do a video about that, so I'll just do, both, and go, hi, today I'm going to talk to you about cats and also pigeons. That's not going to work. People are not going to kind of sit through both things. Do 2 separate videos for that, and maybe split them out over the course of the day. Your third step for your first Facebook Live video, acknowledge any likes and comments that come in. Now I thought this was really, when I was advised of this, that people love to hear their own name, I was like, what? Come on, we're not all like, if you hear your own name on the telly, then maybe, but just a Facebook Live video, as if. And then I was watching my friend's video, and I liked what his thing, and he was like, oh, thanks, Vicky. And I was like, oh, that's actually, it does, because it is nice that somebody acknowledges you. And it's, I will be honest, I really struggle if I am doing a live video and I've decided what my topic is and I start talking, and then people start commenting. I struggle with acknowledging them and then going back to my original train of thought without just getting completely lost. But that's something I need to work on. I think it's something we all need to work on, because if you don't acknowledge people, why not just do a recording and stick it up? The whole point of live video, this is the difference with live video, is that people can ask you questions, they can interact with you, and it is, very much live. So if you're I've seen many live videos where the presenter or the person has said to start off with, okay, I'm going to do this, and I've got a lot of content to get through, or I'm really, whatever, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to read any comments, I'll take questions at the end. And that's fine, or you can break for questions, after each point, go, has anybody got any questions or anything? And that, rather than getting distracted with it as you go through, that might be a better way of doing it. But again, that's up to you, what your preference is and also what your topic is. Step number 4 for your first Facebook Live video: do your thing. Get on with what you're talking about. Don't kind of dilly-dally and go, so today I'm going to talk to you about oranges, and have you seen the weather, and just get on and talk about it. I would say here, list your main points so that you don't go kind of off, or you don't lose what you're doing. Just have a piece of paper kind of below your phone, next to your phone, wherever, that says, point number 1 is this, 2, 3, 4, 5. But don't script it, because there's nothing worse than scripted, kind of seeing people just reading out from autocue or whatever. It looks awful. It also makes me question whether you know what you're talking about if you need to have it that scripted in front of you. Just a bullet point for, and now you need to talk about this bit, and then talk about that bit. Any points that you really don't want to miss, or specific figures or statistics, things like that, yes, keep a note of those, but don't script it, because scripted videos and any scripted audio is really just painful to listen to, in my opinion. Your 5th step for your first Facebook Live video: take questions. So I kind of covered this in point number 3, but do take questions. Take advantage of the fact that it's live, and let your watchers or your viewers take advantage of the fact that it's live, and the fact that they've got you there. It will extend your broadcast, and I do think I've kind of fiddled about with the different lengths of broadcasts, and I've found around 10 to 15 minutes for me means that I get a lot of people on without them then dropping off and getting bored. Whereas if you only do 3 minutes, it's kind of not long enough for people to realise that you're doing it, because I don't have that many fans. Like Gary Vaynerchuk can do a video, and he only needs to do 3 minutes, and he's got thousands of people there. But, for us smaller pages who don't quite have as many fans as Gary Vaynerchuk, you kind of need to do a longer video to give people time to get to you and to find you. And the best way to do that is if you take questions from people. That can make your video a bit longer, especially if you're kind of struggling for what to say, or if you were a bit nervous and you went through it a little bit quickly. Questions can add on at the end. So I always think it's, rather than say, are there any questions, and risk there being kind of a stony silence as nobody has anything to say, just say something like, you can ask questions if you like, or something like that. Give them the opportunity, and you can do that, as I said, at the end of each point, or at the end of at the end of the broadcast, whichever you prefer. Do both or either, but do give people the opportunity to ask you questions. It also kind of gives you the opportunity to show that, I am actually an expert. I do know what I'm talking about. I wasn't just reading that off a script. You can ask me a question and I'll be able to answer it. I love doing, when I do training and things and people ask questions, I love it because it's like exercise for your brain, like that you never know what people are going to ask you, and they ask you a question, and it is like exercise for your brain, because you can go in and give your prepared speech, but that nothing proves you're an expert more than having somebody randomly come up with a question, and it's a great way of proving that you know what you're doing. But definitely make space for questions and use them to elongate your video. So the 6th step in your 6 steps to your first Facebook Live video is ending it. Again, this is something I really, really need to work on. I've done with my podcast. You'll find at the end of all of my podcasts, I say the same thing. This is where you can find the notes, and this is this, and this is this. I need to work on doing that with my videos, because I think I've only managed it on 2. What you have to assume is at least one person, hopefully, is going to share your video with their friends or their fans who don't know who you are, who don't know anything about you, don't know where to find more information. So you can say things like, obviously invite people to subscribe to your live broadcast. I think when you're live, there's usually a button at the top of the live video picture where they can do that straight away. You can say you can find out more on my website here. You can sign up for my email list here, and don't give people really long URLs. Use a URL shortener like Bitly. I'm going to do a blog post actually about Bitly, because you can also personalize your shortened URLs. So for me, if I've got a really long URL and I want to shorten it to something a bit a bit easier to say and a bit easier for people to remember, now I've got a URL shortener. I can do smahoy.com / blah blah whatever and make it that much kind of shorter and just easier for people to remember. If you've got any sort of free download that is in any way relevant to what you are talking about, then tell people you can get a free download by going to this address or by sending a text or an email to this, this address, this number. Practice this again. This is something you can kind of sit down and not script, but kind of think out and practice beforehand. Think about what it is that you want to get people to do. They're your call to action. I want you to go to my website. I want you to subscribe to my podcast. I want you to sign up to my mailing list. I want you to download this freebie. Think about it beforehand. Have the URL written out in front of you. You can maybe even hold it up in front of the screen so that people can see. Make sure that you're prepared to say this bit, because you can wing it through most of it, but the bit at the end is where you really need to kind of pay attention and make sure that you're being very clear. This is where you can go, this is where you can find out more, because you do want people to do that, and otherwise you've just kind of given them loads of great content and you've missed an opportunity to kind of follow up with that. So those were your 6 steps to your first Facebook Live video. I do know a couple of people who are already doing live videos, but I'd love to see a lot more people doing them. So if you do feel inspired or in any way kind of like you want to do a Facebook Live video after listening to this, I would love to see it. So do feel free to give me a shout and let me know that you're doing one before you go live, or when you've gone live. Share it to my Single Mother Ahoy page or to VickyCharles.com, or you can send it to my personal account, which is Vicky Charles. Feel free to do that. Feel free to share it to my wall, and I'll always try and watch as much as I can, because I like to Skype off of work. Thank you so much for listening to the VickyCharles.com podcast. The show notes for this and all previous podcasts can be found at VickyCharles.com/podcast. And don't forget that at the moment I'm giving out free social media tips. So if you go to VickyCharles.com/social-tips and fill in your details, I will email you 3 personalised action points for your social media. You can also tick the box on that form and join my mailing list, where you will be sent a free download of social media tips. And you'll be on my mailing list, so you'll get loads of cool stuff sent to you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back next week.